Congressman Matt Gaetz is now being investigated for potentially obstructing justice thanks to information obtained through cooperating witnesses. Joining me to talk about this is Farron Cousins, and I say it every week. Some people get so tired of it. You are the best progressive voice in this country. I really do mean that.
Thank you.
So give me your take on this. You have followed this. You're on a jihad. You really are on a jihad. So let's talk about what the latest development is, okay?
Well, it's very interesting. Last week, it came out that they're trying to see if Matt Gaetz may have obstructive justice. And this is based on a telephone call that took place between Gaetz' ex-girlfriend and another witness. This was one of the people who had essentially been one of the girls that Joel Greenberg had been using. Mm-hmm. So Gaetz' ex-girlfriend was on the phone with this young woman, and she says, well, hang on, let me patch in Matt. So they call Matt Gaetz. You got a three-way phone conversation happening here. And now the authorities believe there may have been obstruction of justice on this call. And let's not forget, about a month ago, you and I were talking about the ex-girlfriend who was telling her family members she's worried she may have obstructed justice. And now we're getting to the heart of that. It all revolved around this phone call. This is what she was worried about. Right. Yeah, and she's the one who's also now cooperating with the feds. So whatever information she gave is what led to these new...
I want to tell you something. I've had people call me, and I've talked to folks that say, no, he's fine. I mean, everything's going to be okay with Matt Gaetz. And I keep saying, really? It's not the way it's looking right now. Right now, let's assume you got a recording of something that sounds like obstruction of justice. First of all, obstruction of justice is not, it's not an easy thing. The words have got to be right. Second of all, Department of Justice typically does not, they're not going to go after anything that's not low-hanging fruit. Now, the question is, this has been going on for months. Are they worried? Are they worried? Is this the tail wagging the dog?
See, that's one thing I've kind of been wondering myself here. Are they going after obstruction because that's all they have left? Or are they looking at obstruction as maybe a way to work out a deal later and say, okay, we'll drop the obstruction if you do X, Y, or Z? So I think it really could be either way. This could show they got nothing else, so they're trying to get whatever they can on him, or they want to get a small thing so they can get him to cop to the bigger things. That's a mystery. That's only going to be
and out
unfolded.
there working also is the pay-to-play story. Yeah. Tell me about it.
There's so many different parts of this. You also have, whether or not Matt Gaetz was involved in helping some of his good buddies in the medical marijuana industry as he was, lobbying to get legislation passed, taking money. There's so many pieces. I'm sorry, it's so hard to keep track of everything here. But I think the big one is not even the obstruction. The big one is going to be if they pin him traveling across state lines, paying for sex.
Mann Act is where they get him. That's my prediction. It's going to be the Mann Act. It's the Bahamas meeting. They have the girlfriend there. Yep. They've got other women there, and then they've got the 17-year-old that if you believe the story, Matt Gaetz had sex with his 17-year-old. I mean, it just doesn't. This is not an easy. If I'm a defense lawyer, I'm looking at this and I'm saying there's so many parts. There's so many avenues they have to go after you with that maybe we ought to be realistic. But I got to tell you something. As I've watched the Department of Justice for a career, if it's not low-hanging fruit, they're not going to do it, especially with a target like this.
Well, and with Greenberg, his good buddy, last week, his plea deal was officially accepted. Yeah. So, he only has 6 counts instead of 33.
33 counts.
So he must have had some very valuable information on high-level targets. And they did say, I think it was five men. We don't know who they are. Mm-hmm. One of them could be Gaetz. Maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But Greenberg had lots of info. They've accepted the plea. He's obligated to work with them.
Still hanging out there, the 17-year-old, who's now 19, maybe 20 at this point. Local economies could lose billions of dollars if Republican governors cancel enhanced unemployment benefits implemented during the pandemic to help Americans make ends meet. Brigida Santos is with me now to talk about that story. Brigida, why are Republicans... Why are they so set on trying to cancel enhanced unemployment benefits early?
This appears Yeah, this appears to be for political reasons because that money has already been appropriated. It's true that the most recent employment report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics reveals that millions of Americans still haven't returned to work despite millions of job openings. But claims that this is due to enhanced unemployment benefits simply isn't supported by national data. The economy has only recovered 63% of the 22 million jobs lost at the peak of the pandemic. Employment trends are headed in the right direction, but this is, of course, going to take time. Many people are still worried about getting sick, and the majority of recent labor gains have been realized by men. Many women left the workforce during the pandemic to care for their children, and a lot of them still don't have childcare options yet. But as schools reopen and as kids return to classes, women will likely go back to work. Now, some major players, we've talked about this before, in the fast food industry that are claiming they're facing labor shortages are not accounting for the fact that women make up the majority workforce in the fast food industry.
Yeah, so the Republican talking point is if go to your local restaurant and they don't even have enough people to serve, so they're closing down lunches. They don't even have enough people to make the restaurant work. Those are the talking points. Matter of fact, they're doing a lot of these cameos now where they're showing up a restaurant owner says, I can't even get anybody to come in here and tend bar or work in the service industry. That's their big talking point. So you say that's not accurate, huh?
No, not necessarily. And this is the free market. If those companies can't get people to come and work for them for low wages, then they should probably just change their incentive structures and give people more money and other things that would help them have a living wage.
Well, when is the extra unemployment benefits, when is it going to end?
Sure. Republican governors in 25 states will end extra pandemic emergency benefits in June or in July rather than September when they were initially set to expire under federal coronavirus stimulus packages. Now, when this happens, nearly 4 million people will be impacted, with 2 million losing their benefits altogether. According to data from the Joint Economic Committee, local communities could lose over $12 billion as a result of cutting unemployment insurance before September. Half of the country is now essentially turning away billions of already appropriated federal funds that could have then been pumped back into the economy. This money was promised by the government to the American people after ordering them to stop working, and now it's being taken away.
Well, is the federal government going to step in? Is the Biden administration going to say, I don't care what y'all do, Republican governors, we're going to step in and solve the problem? What do you think?
No, even though the funds came from the federal aid packages, state governors ultimately have the final say because it's the states that are administering unemployment funds. So the Labor Department says it's unlikely to step in to try and stop those states from ending enhanced benefits. But pulling benefits early is now a grand experiment. We're going to see whether it forces people back into those low-wage jobs or whether more families are going to fall further into poverty following those government-mandated shutdowns.
So you're saying most people are concluding that, hey, I could go back for this very low wage, or I could take a little less, take this unemployment as long as I can, and improve my quality of life, I guess is what you're saying here. That's kind of the thought out there. And when you look at some of the wages that some of these restaurants are paying, even when you add the tips to it, it might be a better deal for some of these folks. What do you think?
I don't know if it's necessarily a better deal, but people don't get vacation that's paid. They don't get paid time off at all, even when they're sick. And so, yeah, it's possible that some people would rather take that unemployment. But as I said, that argument isn't really supported by data. A lot of people simply just haven't gotten back to work for other concerns about their health and also childcare and things like that.
Brigida, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Mike.